Capturing the content began with an initial conversation with the director of the middle school and the Learning Center. These conversations centered around how we could help students improve retention in all classes. The idea for capturing the content originally was based on an observation from the Learning Center specialists that few students left class with notes to refer back to. My goal for this 90-day plan began to focus around building teacher capacity around the issue of students' ability to capture the content. I wanted to pull from the expertise of a diverse set of teachers in order to make sure that we are approaching this issue from the correct angle and using research to support our actions. Students are leaving class on a consistent basis without the tools necessary to successfully retrieve information. There's a disconnect between the teaching taking place and the learning that is occurring. As you can see from this graph, students are significantly relying on listening exclusively and are not writing down information. So progressing from 6th through 8th grade, you see that more and more students are only listening and are not taking concrete notes. Now, one drawback from my leadership is the quality of this data. It's a growth area for me. Collecting data and improving data sources and collection will be one of my focus areas as the school year begins in order to determine whether or not our actions are actually making a difference for student learning. There was additional observational data from teachers that indicated that students are struggling to engage fully in material. This is not a unique issue, but one as educators we are constantly working to improve. St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School is in year 3 of implementing a 10-year strategic plan. This upcoming year, we will have a new schedule with longer class periods and designated PLC time at the beginning of each school day. This time is set aside for adult learning to help support student growth, but with what this time looks like or how it is structured has not been fleshed out. This presents the perfect opportunity to thoughtfully focus direction during PLC time. To thoughtfully focus direction during PLC time surrounding the idea of capturing the content. St. Stephen's St. Agnes School has also started a full school professional development book read, NeuroTeach, Brain Science and the Future of Education by Glenn Whitman and Ian Kelleher. I highly recommend this book if you are even remotely interested in mind-brain education. As a school, we have partnered with the authors of this book and St. Andrews, the school they teach at in Potomac, Maryland, in order to make sure that our teaching practices are grounded in mind-brain educational research in order to apply the principles of how the brain learns to our daily teaching practices. This professional development connects beautifully with the concept of capturing the content. Ultimately, this 90-day cycle began to focus on what content or direction we should take during PLC time. This information led me to my first PDSA cycle, which was a conversation with the Learning Center and the head of the science department with the goal of collaboratively determining next steps for capturing the content. As we work to define what capturing the content means and how teachers can improve practices, our conversation turned to the many definitions that capturing the content could take on. Originally, it sounded like capturing the content was focused on student note-taking skills. However, everyone in our conversation had a different definition and a different priority of what we should tackle first. We also began to share ideas that had been brought up at team meetings and other smaller meetings that could further confound what capturing the content means and how we should begin. Thinking about Phelan and Quinn's work, it became clear that if this was going to be a productive change idea that built coherence within our school, we needed to be thoughtful about how we focus direction around capturing the content and needed to take a step back to fully define it, which led me to my second PDSA cycle. PDSA number 2 focused collaboratively on defining what capturing the content should mean now based on the needs of our students. Using our all-school professional development book read, NeuroTeach, I created a survey of research-supported strategies that help students learn. Using Drago Severinsen's work surrounding teaming and collegial inquiry, I also included questions about the best team that should be used in order to make sure that the work was the most impactful for our students. Ultimately, the second PDSA collaboratively determined that we should focus our initial efforts during our PLC time on maximizing student engagement during the first 10 minutes of class. There were 3 essential conclusions drawn from this 90-day plan. First, this work will be most effectively accomplished through grade level teaming. Second, that the highest priority to help students capture the content in 8th grade is through improving instruction during the first 5 to 10 minutes of class to maximize initial engagement. And finally, that the team really believes that together they have the power to make a difference for students. The graph shown here indicates the research behind the focus question that the team agreed would have the biggest impact on students' ability to capture the content, and therefore the change idea that we will focus on in the year to come. As you can see from this figure, in a 40-minute class period, and research indicates similar trends for 60-minute and longer classes, there are 2 critical times where the brain is primed to retain information. The most significant time is at the start of class, with another peak in retention at the very end of class. Therefore, if we maximize engagement at the start of class with clear research-informed strategies, the likelihood that students will retain the information is increased drastically. As a result of teachers' support of this change idea and the collaboration of the academic center and feedback from peers, for my deliverable, I put together a research-based collection of 5 strategies to effectively engage students during the critical first 10 minutes of class. With these strategies, I included structures to support thoughtful PLC discussions so that we can cultivate a culture of collegial inquiry centered around student engagement at the start of class. Feedback from the survey indicates that all teachers are confident in the team and its ability to make a difference with this work. As John Hattie's research shows, teacher efficacy is the primary indicator of student learning. Therefore, I'm optimistic that this work, when implemented this school year, has the power to positively impact student learning and their ability to capture the content.